QA Practical Test for cation. These are the apparatus and materials needed. This will be the instruction that is usually given. We need to know exactly how to carry it out. So for the first test, we are testing for zinc ion with sodium hydroxide. 2 cubic centimeters will be 2 pumps if we are using the 1 cubic centimeters teat pipette. Next, we add sodium hydroxide slowly with shaking. And this means you must add 3 to 5 drops, though it does not tell you so, but you need to know that. Then you write down your observations. Okay, next when they says until no further change, we need to pour away until only the hemisphere is covered. And once that is done, we need to add sodium hydroxide again until 1/3 of the test tube. We are trying to see if the precipitate produced earlier on, whether it will dissolve or not. So if it dissolves, we will say what kind of solution is formed and the color of the solution. And if it doesn't, we will say that the precipitate does not dissolve. Next, we do the same for iron 3 sulfate. We are testing for iron 3 ion. So the same procedure will follow. Next, we do the procedure for iron 2 ion with sodium hydroxides. We repeat exactly the same steps for the description given. Next, we repeat the same steps for copper 2 ion with sodium hydroxide. Again, we repeat the same steps for copper 2 ion with sodium hydroxide. We repeat the same steps for the test for calcium ion with sodium hydroxide. If it's to test for ammonium ion, this is how the description would be like. So this is the apparatus and materials needed. Okay, so for ammonium ion, we will always test using sodium hydroxide only, because only this will show a change. Okay, so now we're going to add sodium hydroxide slowly. So this will only mean 3 to 5 drops in this case, as there was nothing else that said until no further change. Okay, so this is what you observe. Now this is how we prepare the moist red litmus paper. So we need to prepare the moist red litmus paper before we even start warming the test tube. We spray some deionized water and then we just leave it on the table. Okay, so before we warm, we need to light up the Bunsen burner. So air hole half open if you are using the lighter gun. Turn on the gas and light up the Bunsen burner. Okay, then we use a test tube holder to hold the test tube and we gently warm. So be very careful when you are warming. Make sure the moist red litmus paper does not touch the test tube. And also keep removing the test tube from the flame as it will bubble up very quickly and it would be not safe. Test for ammonia gas always takes some time, so you need to be patient and keep gently warming the test tube and letting the gas touch the moist red litmus paper. So after some time, okay, this video is a real time, so after maybe another minute or so, you will see that the moist red litmus paper will have a change in color. This is the description when we use aqueous ammonia. The steps are exactly the same as before, just that we're using aqueous ammonia. So this is an example with copper 2 sulfate. Again, we will place 2 cubic centimeters of copper 2 sulfate solution into the test tube. Next, we will use a clean tip pipette to pipette the aqueous ammonia, and we will add 3 to 5 drops of aqueous ammonia into the copper 2 sulfate, and we will shake. Again, you make your observations. Then you will pour away some of the precipitate until only the hemisphere is being covered. Then you add aqueous ammonia until 1/3 of the test tube, or at least 3 times the amount of the hemisphere. In this case, you will see that the precipitate does dissolve, so you do need to record what is the color of the solution formed. Finally, remember to place the cap back on the valves and ensure all other apparatus are kept or washed.